Hey, this is Alexa Peterson from the Hitting Vault. I'm going to be doing a swing analysis on Nolan Arenado. He's been doing really well these last couple years. There's something really interesting about his back foot that we're going to check out in this video and see what he does. So starting off, his starting stance is good. Front shoulder slightly lower than his back shoulder. His weight is pretty well centered. Has a little bit of bend in his front knee and his back knee. His knees are inside of his feet. Meaning his knees, a lot of kids will have their knees way outside and their pressure's on the outside part of their knee. You'll see that the weight and the pressure is on the inside part right here. So he goes into his load. What you'll notice is that he actually picks up his back foot first. So look right over here. He actually picks up that back foot first, maybe like a half an inch or an inch off the ground. Gets it planted back into the ground, and then he starts picking up his front foot, taps his front foot right there, and then strides forward. So it's a lot of movement. A lot of people, when you see coaches talking with their players about not having happy feet, this is basically what they're talking about. And there's not very many hitters in the MLB that currently hit this way. But this is something that Arenado has talked about, how he changed a couple years ago, and it's helped him with his swing and with his timing. It helps him with his timing and just kind of getting everything going and getting momentum started. But what's important about how even though he moves his feet, he still gets to a good launch position, and he's solid throughout the rest of his swing. So a lot of kids that you'll see having happy feet, they actually aren't getting to a good launch position. So we're going to look to see what that position looks like. So like I said, this movement, he says, helps him with his timing. So if this is something that you see with a player of yours and it helps them, and they say it helps them with their timing, they feel comfortable with that, it's fine to let them do it as long as it's not inhibiting them from getting to a good launch position. So let's watch it again from the top. So he picks up his back foot a little bit. His head is staying pretty still too. You might see a kid that as they pick up their back foot, it's really high and there's a lot of head movement moving back or forward. We don't want to have a lot of head movement in this pre-movement here. Pre-pitch movement, sorry. Picks his foot up, goes right back down. Starts to work that front shoulder down and in as he's picking up that foot. Picking up his knee, taps right there with his toe. It's another timing mechanism for him. And then he starts going forward. Continues to work that front shoulder down and in. That knob is starting to work a little bit more towards the catcher. Gets to his launch position, which is right there. Right when that heel hits, that's what launch position is. Launch position is not like a swing. You don't have a launch swing. What we're referring to when we say launch position is this position right when your heel hits, right before the rest of your swing kind of starts firing and going towards the ball. This is a launch position that is very important for us to be able to have good separation, and which creates tension in our swing and power to be able to release towards the ball. So you have to be stretched out in this position. We're going to look at a couple different things. So in terms of getting separation, what you see is his hands are still back, but his hips are slightly open. His hands aren't drifting forward. They're just inside his back foot. You'll see a range of hitters, of elite hitters, from just above their back foot to just inside their back foot. The elite hitters that can hit for power and average, you want to try to get that tension created by, as you go forward, your hands stay back and don't drift with you or drop that back shoulder, which goes into the next part. That front shoulder is lower than that back shoulder. You'll see some varying degrees of hitters at how steep that is, but of elite hitters, you don't see that front shoulder up and the back shoulder down in launch position, which is when that heel hits. He's nice and well balanced. His front knee has a little bit of bend that allows him to be able to adjust to different speeds of pitches. He has his front foot open a little bit. Not all hitters have their front foot open, but it does help to be able to have those hips get a little bit of a head start if you're able to maintain that good posture still up here. Knob is down towards the catcher a little bit. We start to go towards the ball. Back shoulder starts to drop. front shoulder starts to go up, that barrel is working behind him. If there's a camera angle coming in this way, you would actually see that barrel drop behind him. It doesn't go straight towards the ball, knob to the ball. It actually works a little bit behind him as he's turning his hips. The barrel works back here, gets on plane, and then goes through the zone. So it's important that he maintains some tilt. So you can kind of see from this angle here, it's almost as though he's leaned over home plate a little bit, kind of almost leaned over his toes. If you were to have a camera angle coming in this way, his eyes would be over his toes. It wouldn't be perfectly straight up and down with his spine. You have to maintain that good torso tilt or hip hinge throughout the swing in order to stay on plane. Going back to his launch position, the first move, you'll see that his hips are really starting to turn. If you watch his belt buckle, it starts going towards the pitcher. And his hands, his shoulders are working and his elbows are working to get on the plane of the pitch. He's recognized at this point where the pitch is, the speed of the pitch, and he's trying to adjust to where it's going to be. But look at how his belt buckle goes towards the pitcher. It starts turning hard, and now his hands really start actually going towards the ball. But the hands are going towards the ball not because he's pushing them. It's because his core and his belt buckle and his hips are turning so hard that the barrel is going to come through the zone a lot quicker. He gets closer to contact, and you see that front leg. Now lock out. You don't have to lock out your front leg, but it should become pretty firm. You don't want to have a lot of bend or create more bend throughout the swing. You can see his front knee right there. He's rotating, he gets closer to contact, it's firming up more. He releases his backside. If we look at his back foot here, his back foot comes up off the ground and moves forward. And then he catches himself after contact. That heel kind of drops back. He has good extension through the ball, which is a byproduct of how your bat is going through the zone. Extension doesn't happen because you push your hands through. It's because your hips are rotating hard and your barrel has so much speed. It's going to naturally, essentially, come through the zone. If you try to push through extension really hard, you're going to end up having that knob to ball, pushing that knob down instead of having your hips and your core turn the barrel. Something you'll notice as well, his eyes, his head is kind of like almost pointed down. That's something that's unique to him. Not all hitters have to have their head straight down like this. A lot of hitters have their eyes a little bit straighter. It's again, not every hitter does that. There's lots of pictures and videos of hitters at contact point, and their head is a little bit straighter, and their eyes are actually looking out here, even though they're making contact in this area. So this is something that's unique to him, but is not really very common with elite hitters these days. We see a little bit more of their heads kind of out in this direction, almost towards the pitcher a little bit more, because you actually lose sight of the ball about 6 to 8 feet out in front of home plate. Your eyes aren't able to track it literally all the way towards the bat. So it's kind of a fun fact there. But those are some good things that we kind of see in Nolan Arenado's swing, and I expect to see him around for a long time. He's really gotten some things ironed out in his swing, has figured out that back foot, having that kind of pick up and put back down in his load right before his load helps him a lot with his timing. So, yeah.